We are recorded for posterity. So smiles, everyone. All right, well, good morning. I'm Christopher Brannon and the president of Koha US. And as I mentioned, we have a lot to cover, even though the agenda looks small. We have a lot of things that we need to talk about before going into general discussion. So we are going to, before we talk about announcements, let's talk about the stuff that we need to talk about real quick here. So we have a lot coming up. We are at the end of our year, and I am going to be handing over the reins to Bob Benhoff, who will become our president, but we have elections coming up. And in this election, we have 3 positions for the board, and we've had nominations open, and we have some competition this year. All 3 positions have competition. We have 2 nominees for each position, which is exciting. We haven't had that before. We may have had a position that had competition, but now all 3 have that, and I'm excited. I can tell you that I think that everybody so far that is nominated is a worthy opponent, and I am looking forward to seeing how this pans out. I know that regardless of how it pans out, next year's board is going to be fantastic. I've had the opportunity to work with a fantastic board this year, and I think just going forward, it's going to be even more so. So I did want to pass on, if you go to the Koha US website, koha-us.org, and go to the events page, you're going to see information on our nominees and also other votes that we are going to be considering for the ballot. So please, if you haven't already, in fact, I'll just bring this up on share here. So if you go to our page and click on events, or we have a specific link for upcoming elections, our vice president nominees are Andrew and Ed, and our member at large unsupported nominees, we have an international nominee, famous host, and I apologize if I mispronounce this, Defiagor. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And then Fred King, of course. And then for secretary, we have Wally and we have Christy. And so congratulations to each of you for making it this far. You've got some competition, but we're gonna keep this competition clean. So I've asked each of them to provide a little bit of information about them, so you can read that information on the website, so that you have things that you can consider when you're making your vote for our members that are casting their ballots. So I'm going to have, those of them that are here today, I'm going to give them an opportunity to say something to this group. But before we do that, I just wanted to continue down the page. In addition to those nominees for next year's board, we're also voting, our members are voting on a proposed bylaw change. Changes membership just slightly. We're basically doing away with our half-year membership. The gist of this is that we don't ask a lot in membership fees, and we want to try and simplify this as much as possible, so that when we are working with membership, especially John, all the shifting around that he has to do from full year membership to half year membership really is not worth all the trouble, and we're trying to make this as easy as possible, both for members and for management of membership and funds. So that's basically what it boils down to. So all the proposed changes are there for you to look at and consider. And then the last thing, which is a last minute addition that will be on the ballot, but I've talked to the board about this and they gave their consent, and I have talked to John about this to make sure that we are doing this properly. But I wanted to include something for the members to consider, a one-time stipend for our Koha US financial manager, which is John. We wanted to provide a one-time stipend of $600 from our discretionary funds. The reason that I'm asking for this is that most of the positions on the board are voted in and they are termed. You spend about 2 years on the board unless you run again. So you have an easy out. John's position, the financial manager, does not have that. John, while it's board appointed, it's an unending position unless he chooses to bow out or he really ticks us off and we decide to boot him. So, you know, he is here voluntarily. He is doing this out of the goodness of his heart, because he is at a job where they are not taking advantage of Koha in any way. So it's not benefiting his job to be a part of Koha US. And he is also attending the conferences at his own expense. And, you know, I appreciate John. The financial manager position for Koha US is really crucial. We depend on that for the stability, because we roll over half of our board members every year. And so we need that stability. We needed a position in finance that didn't change frequently, so that we didn't have to reinvent the wheel every other year with banks and signatures and all of that good stuff. So John has done that. He has provided that stability, and you know, he's crucial to the organization to keep us moving and keep us kosher with any rules and regulations around a nonprofit organization. So he has been a tremendous help. I don't want to see him go anytime soon, and I want to show him our appreciation. He's been with us for 6 years, 3 of those in a voted position as treasurer, and then transitioned to financial manager. He's been financial manager for 3 years. And so this is our way of showing him how much we appreciate all that he's done. He's kept us financially sound, and we have finances to do a lot in the future. And it is because of a lot of legwork that he has done. So that is why this is in there. And it is important that the members weigh in on this. The board does not want to make decisions like this with funds without membership approval. So that is why that is there. So with that said, I want to go back to our nominees and give them a chance, if they are here, to say something about themselves and why they think they want to be a part of the board and running for the position that they're in. So I'm going to start off at the top of our list with Andrew, and I'm going to stop my share so I give him a chance to be seen here. So Andrew, welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Let people know who you are and why you're running.
Sure. Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Andrew Firsty Henry. I'm the Assistant Director at the Dubuque County Library District in Asbury, Iowa. I know many of you from time spent at Bywater as an educator. Oh, where I learned too many things about Koha, and now I can't escape. I'm trapped forever. I'm honored to be running against Ed, who trained me on Koha. If I win, we get to talk about how now the student has become the master and so forth. have some Star Wars. Yeah, I went to the Iowa Library Association conference 2 weeks after the Koha-US conference, and I kept telling people about all these fun things I had learned at my ILS user group conference, and I got the blankest stares in the world back from everybody, as they just could not process the idea that their ILS user group could be a valuable resource. And so that has really underlined for me the importance of Koha-US. Like, y'all are a great group who are a pleasure to talk to and always really helpful, and I want to give back to that. I know some stuff and have some organizational skills. I could do some things, and I was asked to do some things. That's my inspiring statement as a candidate. Please let me do things to help you.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Next on the list is Ed. Ed, welcome, and please let us know about you and what you bring.
Hello, good morning. I'm Ed Veal. I am currently a branch manager here at the McKinney Public Library System. As Andrew mentioned, for a number of years, I was with Bywater, done a number of different things. To me, I've been involved directly or indirectly with Koha US since its inception, really. It's about community. That's what this whole thing is about. I second everything Andrew said. User groups matter. The community matters. Without it, we're all just kind of on our own. I don't know what else to say. Let me, help guide as I can. But once again, if Andrew were to win, I will be supporting him completely as well. So we have a fun, friendly rivalry.
Right.
Yeah, friendly. That's it. Wow.
Yes.
One of the things that I sent out an email to all of our nominees today, and one of the things I mentioned is, we haven't had a lot of competition in the elections this year. We're throwing our members for a loop because they have to make a decision this year, and a lot of them. But one of the key things that I had mentioned is keep this clean. So, all right, our next nominee is Famous. I am sorry, Famous, if I'm slaughtering your name. He's listed as Famous Kos, and I can't pronounce.
Yes, Kose.
What's that?
Kose de Fiago.
Kose.
Yeah, Kose de Fiago. Yeah.
Kose is our first international nominee for a board position. So, Kose, if you could please take a couple minutes and let us know about who you are and why you're interested in being on the board.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I would love to, please don't mind my not being able to use the video feature now. But I want you to know that I'm a librarian at the National Identity Management Commission. This is what I do. I initiated Koha, deployed Koha in my special library. Right up till now, I still manage the Koha right there. And Koha have been a passion for me right from my second degree days in the ABU, Ahmadu Bello University in Nigeria. And it's something that I love, I have passion for, and I feel like it's something every library should adopt. That's what I think about it. And that is why I feel it's a privilege to be part of a team that can make this work. So this is why I'm interested in this position, and I believe I have something to offer. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much for putting yourself out there for this. All right, our second nominee for member at large unsupported is a returnee. You may recognize him. He is the gentleman who occasionally in the background, you'll notice a hand adjusting the camera for his background. This is Fred King. Fred, please talk yourself up.
Yeah, sorry. Oops, there I go. I wanted to use this background, but I didn't have time to edit it. So, oops. Okay. Kosi, you're a hard act to follow. And we have many of the same strengths. I too am passionate about Koha. I'm especially interested in smaller libraries who can't afford the charming, wonderful, learned people of Bywater or another support group. I converted from our old system to Koha, I think around 2013. All on my own, and it's sort of testimony to the fact that yes, it is possible, because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I know what I'm doing now, sort of. I've also talked up Koha in a lot of places, Medical Library Association conferences, one of the, let's say, Association of College and Research Libraries when they were in Baltimore, short trip, which is why they let me go. And next week, I am addressing the Medical Institutional Repository and Libraries Conference, which is online. And I'm recycling the presentation I did in Portsmouth, except I have 15 minutes. So it's going to be slightly different and slightly faster. And I'm going to have to explain what a Koha is. Mentioned recycling. I have served in the position before. And guess the choice is, if you want to recycle, choose me. If you want new blood, a new perspective, choose Kosi. I will not be upset if I lose, and I will not try to sabotage the position.
When there were okay, let me see if I can explain this. Fred had said he would go for this position, but he would happily bow out if somebody else was nominated. And I told Fred, no. Yeah, I said, don't bow out. I think competition is healthy, and I think that our members deserve choices. So while I am happy with either person filling this role, I think that Fred has done a great job in the past, and I think that you folks have some decisions to make on that. So I strong-armed Fred into staying in the running for this. So so read up and consider the options and cast your vote wisely. Next up for board position is for secretary, and the first person that I have on that list is Wally. Wally, please sell yourself in a way that will make everybody vote for you.
Well, I mean, I have, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm kind of a novice at all of this, and the community that has welcomed me in is Koha. I've been active since we began in 2019 at our library, at Prosper Community Library in Prosper, Texas, right down the road from Ed. Ed has been a valuable resource to me on the local level, and has welcomed me into his office a couple of times to explain what the heck is going on and how you do this, and et cetera. I think the whole concept of open source and community is what makes this product such a wonderful product. My background is in education more than it is in library science. And what I have learned from the community has kind of put me on a pedestal here at my little library and allowed me the opportunity to grow and learn and to try to better our whole library system for our patrons. I feel like I owe most of that to the community and felt it was worthwhile trying to figure out a way to give back to the community. I've recognized Christy's name as well and know that she has been very active. And so I'm looking forward to whoever ends up with this position. It will be, it'll be good. So I look forward to the opportunity to work with everyone, whether it's actually with a named position or continuing just to do my work in the background.
Thank you, Wally. And then last but not least, for his competition is Christy. Christy, you have the floor. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you want to be on the board.
Sure. Can everyone hear me? All right, great. Thanks, Wally, for saying nice things about me, and likewise, nothing but great things to say about you too. I liked your presentation at Koha-US that I saw you speak at. I was tuning in virtually, and to that end, to everyone in Central, Mountain, and Western time, I'm coming to you from the future on the East Coast in Cleveland, Ohio. Not the East Coast, the North Coast, but so I am running because the library system that I work for, Cuyahoga County Public Library, went live on Koha at the end of August of this year. And that migration experience is still very fresh. And it's been an energizing way to learn really all things Koha, about the software itself, about the different communities internationally and US. And I'm excited to help give back. I've been to a few special interest groups and I've gotten some really valuable advice from the people attending there. So since I'm not the world's expert on Koha software yet, I figured a way to give back would be to serve on a board position in this capacity as secretary. I'm a pretty good note taker, and if I don't understand things, I'm not afraid to ask questions. And if you explain it to me and I still don't get it, I'm not afraid to say I still don't get it. So I look forward to fulfilling this role if that's in the cards. And thanks all for giving me a moment to say hello to you all today.
Thank you, Christy. And thank you to all our nominees for being here today and introducing yourselves. I was hoping for a few of you. I'm glad we were able to have all of you to say a few words. And yeah, this is going to be a jam-packed election. We're trying to put all of our votes in one ballot, so we're not having to drag out voting in several different ballots. So this is a new approach for us. We're trying to take care of this in one fell swoop. So the plan is that, and let me get my notes here. The plan is that we will open voting on the 13th. Voting will be from the 13th through the 19th. And then we will update the page with the results of that and send out notices to everybody in our listserv. So please be watching out for that information. A reminder, only members in good standing can vote, which is why it's important to be a member. Membership is high, so hopefully we'll get a good turnout in votes. Your vote matters, and what you think of these fine people matters. So please cast your votes when the ballot opens, and not only for the nominees, but for the other two items on the ballot. All right. With that said, does anybody have any questions about for our nominees, or for the officers about any of the other issues on the ballot. All right. If you do have any questions, feel free to email us. You can send an email directly to me at president@koha-US.org, or you can email Bob and I together at info@koha-US.org. And I will say that, you know, as I mentioned earlier, we have a fantastic board, and I will be leaving you guys in great hands. Bob's taken over as president, so he's not going away, but but we've also we have Georgette as treasurer. She'll be on for another year. And we also have Michael, who wasn't able to join us today, but he is our member at large, supported. And let's see here, just making sure that. Oh, and I wanted to mention this too. Let me share my screen again real quick here. And I've got a couple things to mention about the website, but this, you know, it naturally transitions into this. If you want to find out about our current officers, under about, if you go to officers and subcommittees, our current board is listed here. And of course, I failed to mention, you know, John, who we cannot do well without him. He is the backbone of Koha-US. So he will stay on as well. But we have our current officers here. I had been doing a bunch of digging the past few weeks on pulling up Koha-US history, and I have gone back through minutes over the years, poured through that, and talked to John to confirm some things, trying to piece all of this together, because we did not really track our history until now, and so hopefully this will give people a better picture of, you know, how we've progressed over the years. But we started back in 2014, which means next year we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary, which is amazing. So if you remember back in 2014, for those of you that have stuck around that long, we started out as Koha NA. Bywater helped kick us off. They've pushed us out the door and said, okay, now it's your thing. And we went running with it, and we changed the name shortly after to something that was a little bit more appropriate for who we are and what we do. So we became Koha-US. We became an official nonprofit organization, and elected a small board at the time, and we have grown since then. And so you can kind of see the progression through the years on this page. So if you have any questions about Koha's history, this is a good place to look. The other thing I wanted to mention about the website, and then we're going to open up for general discussion, is that I had to make some quick adjustments the other day to our website. By the way, I updated the photos that rotate through the website. I think it looks a lot crisper now with better resolution photos, but I updated from our conference we just had. So good looking group there. That was a fun time there. So updated those pictures, but also I had to update the calendar. We were having a problem with the mechanism that imports our Google calendar to our website. And so I did some quick updating. If you run into some issues with it, please contact me outside of the meeting, and I'll see what I can do to address it. One of the things that happened when we transitioned from the mechanism to, we basically are doing an iframe of our actual Google Calendar now, is that it lost the link for the iCal, which allows you to import our events into your calendar like Outlook. So I created a link that will allow you to do that. So you may have to recreate that calendar in your calendars with this new link if you were depending on that. I also updated the calendar page itself. So if you're looking at the full calendar, it now looks a little bit differently, and that link is at the bottom there as well. So please let us know if you have any issues, but we're running into an issue with the mechanism. I was looking at this week and noticing the circulation special interest group wasn't showing up on Thursday for some reason. And that's disastrous. We want you guys to know about what meetings are being held and other events. So I did what I could to get this back up and running. And the nice thing about this calendar is you can look at the week, you can look at the month, or you can look at it as an agenda, kind of like what this is down here, but it'll allow you to look at those things, and you can, click on those items and see more information. So please let me know if you have any trouble with the calendar. But I think this is going to be nice because we're not relying on another plugin to present our calendar to you. So with that said, I'm going to open up the floor to the group. What are some things going on in your neck of the woods in Koha land? Absolutely nothing. Okay, we're done. No, I'm just kidding. Any bugs that are going on that you are watching? Well, I've got some if you don't have any. It is quiet out there. I noticed that there's a lot of movement going on in, let's see here right now. The latest is bug 30287. Put that in chat here. 30287, I'm noticing, is getting some movement today. Notices using HTML renders differently in the notices.pl page. One of the things, I think, yeah, I reported that bug, which is why I'm getting notified of it. But there's a lot of movement on that today. That was a bug where, it's frustrating when you design something so nicely in a template and then it doesn't translate properly when you actually look at notices. And this is one of the things that was a little hinky with this. If you were using HTML and you're using tags, some of those line breaks were doubling up and really making the notice look different from what you designed it to look like. So this is something that they are moving on and working on. Here, I also know, and we have a video for the every other Thursday training videos. We have a video coming out on this particular one, but it is a bug. It is an advanced search bug in the OPAC. It's not a problem on the staff side, but it is on the OPAC side. And so, yes, spoiler alert, says George. But it is something that you should be aware of. It's not something that your patrons are going to run into a lot, but it is a possibility. So please be aware of that bug. But it only seems to be affecting the advanced search. So. I can't be the only one dealing with things in Koha land. Andrew, what are you working on lately? I know you've got something up your sleeves.
I've been writing all the worst reports in the world, trying to figure out what floating does to our collection and how we might understand where books go and who likes to use them. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'm spending all of my days regretting not paying more attention in statistics in college.
I noticed that, speaking of floating, I noticed that you had mentioned something, you were having a conversation with somebody in Slack about floating collections and holds.
Yeah, that was bug 31557. The many ways in which the holds queue hides secret logic about how it decides which items to fill a hold with. It's got some baseline logic in it that assumes that all items want to sort of make their way back to their home branch. And so as the holds queue is picking an item to fill a hold, if there is an item whose home branch matches the pickup branch, that's always first choice before it thinks about your queue weight or your transport cost matrix or any of those complicated things you've set up to try to make the holds queue work just right. Yeah, it's a weird nichey little bug, but it doesn't make Koha work great for us. Not ideally for us, because we don't really use home library.
I know that, there are probably more libraries out there that are using those floating collections, and this would be an important aspect of it. I guess making filling holds more efficient, rather than trying to rely on the home library if the item is somewhere far off and it really doesn't have a true home. So yeah, I guess that that is an aspect that I think is rather important to many libraries. We don't deal with a floating collection in our library itself. I think we might have some small group of libraries in our consortium that do, and so it might benefit them more. But yeah, I do think this is an aspect that needs some attention.
Would it maybe also be a helpful update, even if your collection doesn't float necessarily, but people can request from any library? Well, no, it doesn't. Never mind. Sorry. I don't think so.
What I find interesting is trying to pull back the curtain on the hidden logic of how it puts holds on what in a multi-branch system.
Yeah, I feel like
That's
every time I stare at that process for more than 15 minutes, I find another like, oh, it's doing this that we never knew about. Okay, well, let's make that customizable.
This is one aspect of Koha. I wish we had kind of a flow chart that kind of helped us visualize what's happening, because and I know that we can set it up in many different ways, and maybe we need just flow charts for different scenarios, but it would help me to understand the logic even more. I mean, yeah, there's aspects to this to make holds behave differently depending on how, if you're using the transport cost matrix, if you're randomizing or not, and your circulation rules, all of that good stuff. But it would sure be nice. What would be ideal is if you could, if you had some sort of tool that you could say, okay, I want to do this, 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 and this, and this. What's the work? How is this flow chart going to look in how the holds will operate? And it would change dynamically based on your choices. I wish there was something like that, but that's really wishful thinking.
Yeah, I'm wishful thinking that we could just get a diagram of how Koha's supposed to work before you start adjusting it. Then we can start going from there.
I see a lot of chatter going around in the chat, and some folks are leaving, but if I missed something that somebody's bringing up, feel free to please speak up and point it out.
I put a link into bug 8838 digest option for hold notice. That is pushed to Koha 2311. So it will be possible in the future to run a digest, to have hold available notices go out as a digest. And for the Bywater customers that paid for that development, it sounds like it Bywater may be able to push it back into 2305 for those that want, or yeah, the next update. So we won't have to wait all the way to 2311.
Is that bug like 8338?
Yes.
It's 8838.
Thank you, Christopher. A little
Yes, 8838. I put the link in there, but so many people have added things to the chat box. It's like way up there now. And it's going to work. I like some of the features that were added to this bug. So currently we have our hold notices going out every 15 minutes. You can, the way that this cron job is configured to produce these notices is the individual notices can run at a separate time than the digest notices. So you can have the digest set to go a couple times a day and the individual notices set to go every 15 minutes if people still want to get the individual notices. They're just, it's a really well done enhancement. So I'm looking forward to having it.
I do like the idea of having more digests available. And in fact, George and I have another spoiler alert, but we do have a video coming out about digests and defaulting. But I think, you know, it's a really good idea to have those digests active by default, because if you don't, you have a lot more emails going out and you have a lot more chance of email carriers blocking your emails because of all the emails that are being generated. So digests can help alleviate that a little bit, in my opinion.
I think this is the last of the messages and the messaging preferences that isn't digestible in some way or another. Because the checkout receipt or item checkout and item check-in digest every time they run. They build up the data, but I think this is the last one that there was just no way to turn it into some kind of digest. So I'm looking forward to that.
You know, and I never really thought of, you know, the checkout and check-in as digests, because it's not listed in that column where it doesn't say anything about it. It'd be nice if it at least mentioned it in the name of it. You know, it makes sense, but it does behave differently than other messages because it is just digested.
Which is why it'd be great if there was better documentation for those notices.
What else?
So there's another bug floating out there, which I've put in the chat, which is basically some changes they want to make to the biblio record detail view, so that if you have a huge record with tons of items, it'll basically only load the first 10 items at first and then load the rest after. So you're not sitting there waiting for your page to load forever. But the way they're doing it, it's not clear to me why, but it has a few potential side effects. Like right now, they're saying you won't be able to search or sort on status anymore. And there's questions about is loading 10 items up front enough, or do libraries need more up front, stuff like that. So that's a good one for everyone to put eyes on and just comment about these side effects, and put in your perspectives on whether that's going to actually work for your libraries or whether that's going to cause a big issue. Because right now it's 3 developers debating it, and they really need some feedback from libraries so they don't make the page do things that we don't like.
Developers have great ideas and they understand code tremendously, but I think they really need input from those of us that are using this on the front lines, because we don't need side effects that are going to cost us functionality. And so yeah, please, if you understand some of what this is touching, particularly bib records, bib detail views. Please take a look at it and weigh in. Even if you're not 100% understanding it, you know, get some clarification, ask questions, because you know, you might uncover some things that are important to talk about. So if you don't understand a bug, ask questions. It's okay to ask questions. We have a good community that can help fill in the blanks on these things. So I know that sometimes when these bugs are done, sometimes they're done in a way that doesn't provide a lot of information. They don't even give you a test plan on how to reproduce the problem. And so, you know, if they're not providing that, ask for it. You know, the more information that they provide to each other and to the community, the better, and the more we can weigh in and contribute. Bob, did you add a bug somewhere up in here?
Yeah, it's not a huge deal because it looks like there's already been a lot of work on it, but it was just pointed out to me this week that the way claims return is currently displaying is pretty confusing and not behaving like when you're in the patron page, like checkouts or holds. So it's kind of dropping it down to the bottom of the screen, and then once you open it, it stays there. So if you don't have any holds and you tab back to it, it pops it back up and it looks like it's listing the claims returned there. So it's just a little confusing, but looks like the community is already on a fix, and it's going to be backported. I just when I initially looked for when it got reported to me that there was an issue, I couldn't find the bug right away, and I filed a duplicate. So just wanted to, if anybody else saw this, note that was already being worked on and getting fixed in the community.
And that was bug 35112.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I do see somebody commenting that it will be backported, but they didn't say how far back. So, okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's resolved in 2211. Which is interesting.
So it's resolved in 2211.
It's not resolved on my version as yet. Still happening.
I agree. I'm just reading what it says here. I'm seeing it now. Confirm that this is resolved under 22. That may be a question without a question mark at the end of the sentence.
Catrina mentioned in one of her comments, comment 9, that she cannot replicate the problem in a claim 2305. So only 2211 seems to be affected. So.
Yeah. So
we've still got 11 minutes if you have something that you'd like to share. If
somewhat
not,
on topic, somewhat on topic, somewhat off topic. Is anybody playing with much AI stuff as it relates to Koha?
is there AI stuff related to Koha?
If we're not careful, AI is related to everything. We've just been doing a lot of stuff. I ran, neither Spencer or I are catalogers. So we wanted to see what would happen if we took some very bad MARC records that we get for some of our streaming content and take those MARC records that they have sent to us and put them into AI and said, change these fields. We wrote it in complete plain English, said, change these fields to this and export it in MARC. And it did. And then we imported it into Koha and it worked. For our purposes,
catalogers. No.
for our purposes, Marcy would not approve. because I guarantee you it's not doing everything exactly right. But there's just a, sure, it does affect us, you know.
Every library or group has their own personal touches on their records, you know.
But
there may be standards, but everybody steps outside of those standards and adds their own thing to their system to do what they want it to do. So
but then we asked it again, okay, we didn't like that exactly right, do this to this, and it did it just fine once we defined exactly what we wanted it to do. It's just interesting. Our city's having a big push with AI right now, and as our upper management wants to say, AI is not going to take your job. Somebody that knows how to use AI is going to take your job.
Ed, I see a potential presentation in your near future.
Maybe so. One of the things we were thinking was for using it to parse through documentation faster. Because if it's got all the documentation in there and you start asking it questions, it can give you cleaner answers than it would take you to parse through all of the documentation. Just ideas.
Maybe we could get AI to get Koha's documentation up to snuff.
So this is a secondhand report of a use of Koha AI. I think it was Robin that asked ChatGPT to write a report. And I don't know if it worked or not. I think it was Robin. She's not here for me to ask today. So I tried it, and it wrote a report that wouldn't run.
When we've done that, it gives nice, clean, wonderful SQL that doesn't work in Koha.
Yeah, and it seemed to be getting some of its data from the. It seemed that the ChatGPT has read through the Koha wiki. So,
wow.
But yeah, the report that I had it right wouldn't run, and it was nowhere near as nice as anything I could do down myself. So. And I don't see a presentation from Ed in the future. I see a presentation from the AI expert that replaces Ed in the future.
Yes, when I'm well retired.
This is taking a dark turn.
If AI wants to replace me when I retire, that's fine with me. I'm not going to worry about it.
What if AI wants you to retire earlier than you want?
Well, then AI would have replaced me about 4 or 5 years ago.
All right, 6 minutes left. Anyone else?
One bug that we're looking forward to is 8367. Yes.
8367?
4-digit bug number. Yes. Pretty exciting to be able to.
Sorry, Rhonda, you're a little hard to hear.
All right, let's try this. I thought with my headphones on, I'd be better off. This allows you to specify the wait periods for different pickup locations. So we have our, library, but we also have our hold lockers. And if people are picking up things at the library, we'll give them 7 days, but the hold lockers are so popular that we want them to keep moving through there. So we want to be able to set that to 3 days. So this will be super for us. We're looking forward to this.
So it is pushed to master. Let's see here. What it's going to hit 2311.
Yeah, I think that's right. So we'll have to wait a little bit, but
yeah,
at least it's in there, and it's been out there. What is it? 2012, I think, the original.
By the way, I saw. Speaking of 2311, I mean, it reminds me we're not there yet. We're Our next version coming out is 2305. And Bywater is already starting to get some word out about that, and for early adopters. I know those of us with test servers will be eager to see the next version. I'm looking forward to seeing it because I believe that is where one of our developments hits with the patron messaging and the control that we've given patrons to be able to mark them as read, which will be really great. And there's another development, Kelly and Jesse had done a Monday Minutes on it, talking about that feature, and another one that goes along with it. Remind me, Kelly, what was that other aspect?
That you can edit messages, existing messages on the patrons account, which is good times.
Did you happen to notice, and I meant to ask this before I was watching that video, did you happen to notice if that edit feature allows that message to be seen again once it's been marked read, or unmarks it read or not? Because I mean, it seems like if you're going to edit a message, you may have wanted that to be seen again. Maybe that's another development down the road. I don't know.
It would, if they've read it and possibly deleted it, it would, be silly. You'd have to rewrite the message from what I could see doing it. Yeah. And I thought of that, Christopher, as I was editing it, going, well, this is a silly message to say, let's edit this red message.
Yeah, it seems like it would make sense if you're going to edit a message, it should be marked unread again. And so, yeah, it might be something that we need to say, hey, let's adjust that a little bit.
Well, and I think a lot of, from what I've heard, it's the staff interaction messages just for staff itself. Like they have a lengthy message about a patron that they want to continue to add to or update and not remove all the other details. I think it's more on the staff interface messages to each other, more so than the OPAC.
I was thinking too, along those lines, maybe down the road, it would be worth tweaking the messages, especially the ones going to the patron, if they had a way to respond in the message, because not every patron has, in a limited fashion, but not every patron has email, and not every patron has a convenient way of communicating, and that might offer another way for them to respond back. I don't know. I
think it offers another way for staff to ignore patrons, to not get that message. I think it just offers another opportunity for it's too many avenues of communication is as big of a problem as not enough. So.
Anything else? We're down to the last minute. Oh, I am not going to push. Oh, well, there it is. We made it. All right, so we are at the end of our meeting. So let me just remind everybody that voting starts on the 13th. Be watching out for that link, or keep an eye out on the events page. And remember, you must be a member of in good standing in order to vote. So if you're not a member, you might want to up that membership before the voting hits. So thank you to everyone that has joined us today. We are going to be transitioning into our conference committee meeting here in just a few minutes. So if you're on that committee, please stick around. Otherwise, have a great week and great November, and we'll see everybody next month.